Molecules are at the heart of every changes we see in the world around us. When we fall in love with someone, level of oxytocin, a compound consisting of 9 amino acid units, increase in our blood and significantly affect our behavior. Looking through the lens of chemistry, this is love. Our emotions, like happiness and sadness, closely related to level of hormones such as dopamine and serotonin. In addition, melatonin, hormone of darkness, regulates the sleep-wake cycle. Chemistry is the science of identifying structure of molecules and manipulating them into doing what we want. Chemists around the world have dedicated their life to design molecules which increase quality of our life. In this video, I'm going to tell you the story of these molecules and show how we can substantially benefit from them. Number 1. Urea. For I cannot, so to speak, hold my chemical water, and must tell you that I can make urea without need of kindney or even an animal, be it man or dog. Wrote Friedrich Wöhler to his Swedish mentor, Jöns Jacob Berzelius. The first synthesis of urea was a profound moment in the history of science, marking both the death of vitalism theory and the birth of organic synthesis. Before Wöhler announced his synthesis, chemistry divided into organic and inorganic realm. Based on vitalism theory, organic compounds could be made only in plants or animals by a mysterious vital force that could not be replicated in the laboratory. Wöhler's synthesis of urea from inorganic source silver isocyanate removed this artificial barrier between organic and inorganic chemistry. After that, chemists realized that organic and inorganic compounds govern by the same rules. And Wöhler synthesis effectively unified chemistry. It should be noted that Wöhler used silver isocyanate in his synthesis, but incorrectly consider it as silver cyanate, a compound with the same composition but different in connectivity of atoms. Wöhler's synthesis caused the rise of isomerism concept in chemistry. It means that atoms can be connected together in different ways, and these different connections are reflected in properties of the matter. Number 2. Glucose. Glucose plays various roles in nature. It is the most important source of energy in all organisms. In the nature, glucose units join together by glycosidic bond and build polysaccharides. These structures is stored in plants as strac, the most common carbohydrate in human diet, and in animals as glycogen, which provide long-term energy storage. When organisms need energy, break these polymers and release energy from glucose. In addition, glucose contributes to make up strong scaffolds in cellular architectures. For example, cellulose in plants' cell wall and chitin in exoskeleton of insects contain glucose units. Considering pivotal role in supply of energy and amazing biosynthesis from carbon dioxide taken from air, chemists tried to synthesize glucose in laboratory. What organic chemistry is capable of as loyal ally of physiology, with refined methods of analysis and synthesis. These words are part of the Emil Fischer's Lecture Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1902. Emil Fischer was the first chemist who planned the total synthesis of glucose. Fischer began his synthesis with glycerol, an alcohol produced by yeast during fermentation, because of apparent similarity in taste between grape sugar and glycerol. Fischer's works on sugar's chemistry advanced the understanding of stereochemistry. In 1848, Louis Pasteur had separated 2 enantiomers of tartaric acid and had shown that they rotate plane polarized light in opposite direction. Pasteur related this property of molecules to asymmetric structure of them. Lebel and Van 't Hoff reveal that tetrahedron geometry of the carbon atom is responsible for this phenomenon. Molecules having 4 different substituents attached to the carbon atom exist in 2 different configurations, called enantiomers. Like our hands, these two configurations are mirror images of one another that cannot be superimposed one upon another. Emil Fischer developed these basic concepts in order to solve the problem of configuration of the carbon atoms in hexaces. He used various reactions such as degradation and reconstruction. Finally, Fischer prepared a complete set of these compounds and determined the exact configuration of them. Number 3. Aspirin. Aspirin has a long story, and it's a good example of how chemistry can manipulate and optimizes medicinal properties of a natural product. The story begins more than 3,500 years ago in the House of Life, where ancient Egyptian physicians prepared salicin from myrtle bark and advocated as a remedy for rheumatism and back pain. Of course, ancient Egyptians were not aware of the active component of their remedy. 1,000 years after ancient Egyptians, Hippocrates, father of medicine, was the first person who believed diseases weren't a punishment from gods, but rather the product of environmental factors, diet, and living habits. He prescribed the use of willow bark extracts for pain and fever. Indeed, the name salicin is derived from the Latin name for willow family, Salicaceae. Salicin consists of a sugar and a phenolic unit. In 1838, an Italian chemist, Raffaele Urea, hydrolyzed salicin and converted it into sugar and phenolic components. By oxidizing benzylic carbon atom of the phenolic unit, he successfully prepared salicylic acid, but the correct structure of it was still unknown. Hermann Kolbe was the first chemist who synthesized salicylic acid and elucidated the correct structure of it. Also, he was the first who added the term synthesis to the dictionary of chemistry and had a major contribution to the birth of modern organic chemistry. After Wohler's synthesis of urea in 1828, some chemists still believe in vitalism theory. Hermann Kolbe was a student of Friedrich Wohler. By converting carbon disulfide, an inorganic compound, to acetic acid, he shown that an organic compound could derive from an inorganic source. In 1859, Kolbe did his groundbreaking synthesis by heating the sodium salt of phenol in the presence of carbon dioxide under pressure to prepare salicylic acid. By this approach, he not only deduced the correct structure of salicylic acid, but also grounded the industrial production of it. In this process, salicylic acid can be produced at 1/10 of the price of natural source. So such a powerful method laid the foundation of the pharmaceutical industry of today. Although synthesis of salicylic acid was a revolution in pharmaceutical industry, it had a number of side effects. For example, by irritating the stomach, leading to vomiting that some patients were unable to tolerate it. The hero of this part of story is Felix Hoffmann, a German chemist that was born in Ludwigsburg. He studied chemistry and pharmacy at the University of Munich and graduated in 1893. Then he joined the pharmaceutical research department at the Bayer Company. In the Bayer Company, he tried to controlling the biological activity of the molecules. Before Felix Hoffmann, biological activity of molecules had been improved by acylating active part of their skeleton. Phenacetin, one of the first fever reducers, is a good example of this procedure in which Amin Group acetylated and introduced to market by Bayer Company in 1887. It might be worth mentioning that Fathers Hoffmann had suffered from vomiting because of using sodium salicylate for a long time, so Hoffmann successfully installed acyl group on the phenol segment of salicylic acid with the help of acylating strategy. Finally, by this chemistry, he found a cure for his father and produced a valuable synthetic molecule named aspirin that significantly reduced side effects of salicylic acid. Considering this historical background, the word aspirin is a combination of acetyl and sprin, the natural source that salicylic acid was first extracted from it. All vector graphics you see in this video are designed by FreePic.